Hey everybody, it is Sean and Dave from Saturday Morning Cartoons, and we are here just at the start of the show to give a quick shout out and a big thank you to the following people. We want to thank these people who have been able to go to patreon.com/Saturday Morning Cartoons and commit to high quality podcasting like Saturday Morning Cartoons through a monthly reoccurring donation. First and foremost, we want to thank Derek Haynes,
Jason Woods,
Jamal Newman,
Melanie Harker,
Allison Keene,
the one and only Sean Paul Ellis,
and of course, Dave Trumbore.
Now, it's kind of silly that we mentioned our own names and some names you guys probably recognize, but we want to let you know out there that we are not just asking for your money and support, we are also putting our own money into the support of the podcast as well. Just wanted to make sure that you guys understood that we are right alongside with you in trying to improve the show.
Thank you guys so much for your support, and now, on with the show.
Hello and welcome to Saturday Morning Cartoons, the weekly podcast that revisits, reviews, and ridicules some of the world's weirdest animated series. Coming to you from Newtronic City, I'll be your co-host, Dave Trumbore. Joining me, as always, my co-host, Sean Paul Ellis. How's it going, sir?
David. I'm doing well, buddy. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. We're continuing our Listener Appreciation Month here with a fun tune that I remember watching as a kid, but I haven't seen in a very long time. Probably since it debuted in, 99.
Really?
In 99? Yeah, I don't think I've seen anything since its, premiere.
I
saw,
have,
one episode and that was it.
That's crazy. I've never heard of this, and I've never watched it before until today.
Well, we want to give a quick shout out to Cody Mullins, who brought Big Guy and Rusty the Boy Robot to our attention again after these many years. So you've never heard of this one at all?
I think looking at the character Rusty, it just sort of, it reminded me sort of Astro Boy, and so maybe there was sort of like an Astro Boy comparison that my brain drew and just figured that it was an Astro Boy cartoon. But no, I don't remember this, and I don't believe I ever watched this when it was on TV.
Yeah, I mean, you'd be forgiven for comparing him to Astro Boy because that's 100% where that comparison came from. So actually, that's part of our history. I don't want to say too much of it, so if you want to run through our history real quick, it'll explain a bit of the backstory.
Yes. Big Guy and Rusty the Boy Robot is an American animated TV series based on the comic book of the same name by Frank Miller and Jeff Darrow. The series ran for 26 episodes on Fox Kids from 1999 to 2001 and featured the voice of Pamela Alden as Rusty, along with R. Lee Army, Stephen Root, Clancy Brown, and M. Emmett Walsh. A line of toys based on the show was produced by Bandai. On July 12th, 2016, Amazon released the complete series on DVD. So thank you, Amazon.
I love when I include that specific day and date. Somebody needed to know the day and date that this was available.
I feel like there's some job that's at Amazon that's just like, guys, if we're releasing these, it's going to be on the Wikipedia page.
So get your facts right.
Some constant gardener is out there just tending to those wiki pages nonstop, just making sure they're in there.
We got to do some weeding around here because it's every time I put it in there and I'm like, that's cool because all I see is release the complete series. I'm like, that's important. People should know that this series is available. And then I look back and it's usually when you're reading it and I'm like, oh, probably didn't need to know. July 12th at 4:53 p.m. Pacific, it was released.
If you have a July 12th birthday and you're just like, I need to know what was significant on that date in 2016, bam, there you go.
Nothing else happened.
Complete series. Absolutely nothing else happened in that day.
That was it. Slow day for news, but big day for Big Guy and Rusty. Speaking of, Big Guy and Rusty the Boy Robot series takes place in the fictional Newtronic City and focuses on Rusty, the most advanced robot ever built, with a human emotional grid and quote-unquote nucleoprotonic powers.
Oh boy.
Yeah, the plan at the time is that Rusty will replace the Big Guy, a massive war robot that is the Earth's last line of defense against all threats, alien and domestic. However, Rusty is too inexperienced to stand on his own, so the Big Guy is recommissioned to teach Rusty the ways of the trade. Rusty idolizes the Big Guy, regarding him as the best robot ever. In reality, the Big Guy is actually a mindless battle suit, piloted by Lieutenant Dwayne Hunter, who poses as his chief mechanic. Surprise, surprise! Spoiler alert for the first episode, if you didn't see that coming already. The Big Guy's secret is known only to a few, and many situations involve Lieutenant Hunter's clever and impromptu excuses to hide the fact from Rusty for two reasons. The truth could overload Rusty's emotional grid, and Rusty has trouble keeping secrets.
Shut up.
I think you'll see. We'll talk about this first episode here, where everybody's introduced, and it is fairly apparent quite early on that Rusty has a ways to go to kind of like thicken up his skin and just calm down a little bit. He's very testy.
I
He's very
like
sensitive.
the I like the idea that like Lieutenant Hunter has to Clark Kent Superman this
Yeah.
left and right because he's worried about overloading Rusty's emotional grade. Guys, that's poor programming. Honestly,
this is bad. Not even beta testing at this point.
This is just, hey, we'll just fuck it. We'll do it live. Like we're just gonna like
we're gonna put a a nuclear powered robot out there with the mind of a child and see what happens.
Guys, if you've ever written software before, you get that alpha, you get that pre-alpha release. It's garbage. It has no reason to be out in the field. I mean, guys, this is why Gmail was in beta for like 6 years before they were finally just like, you know what? I think we figured out the whole email thing. Like, let's now add chat and ads and all this other crap into it as well.
And that was just for email. You didn't have a nuclear weapon walking around also with the mind of a child.
Exactly.
To the fact that like if his idol turned out to be not quite everything he thought it was, that it would either like just disable him completely and shut him down, or he would just go nuclear and just like lay waste to the world. Like this is a poor decision from the outset. But it's fun. It makes for a fun cartoon and probably a fun comic. I've never got my hands on those. So if anybody listening out there has read the comics, let us know.
It's a weird lesson to learn as well, that like your idols are not necessarily who they say they are.
Yeah, never meet your heroes. Yeah,
right. And so it's kind of incredible to think that like in this sense they're teaching that through this show, but it's a robot. It's not like a human boy who's doing that. It's a robot boy who should just be like, oh, you know what? I've got like a nuclear core inside of me. And I'm one of the most advanced pieces of artificial intelligence that's on the planet, but I can't figure out and decipher that it's he probably has X-ray vision. How the hell is he not seeing that inside this huge battle suit?
I don't know. I don't know what all of his powers are. I just know that he's got like childlike innocence. So essentially, he like still believes in Santa Claus at this point. So I mean, never tell him the truth of that, kids. Which is that Santa Claus is totally real.
Oh man, this is scary and disappointing on a lot of levels.
Okay. How about the theme song though? Is that scary and disappointing?
No, this theme song is patriotic as fuck.
I'm saluting Sean right now. I don't know if you can tell, but
buddy,
salutes.
This was one of those things that it felt like it was almost like a key piece of sort of like a 1940s
like propaganda,
like a piece of propaganda to like either to get you to buy war bonds or to enlist now. And I was under both circumstances
while I was listening to the theme song.
I know, I threw money at my TV. It was weird, and now I'm in the army. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's how that works. I'm not a soldier, guys.
I'm same. I'm in the barracks down from Sean.
Yeah, but mad respect to everybody who actually has served. But
unlike us.
Unlike us. Just oh man. But yeah, this was incredibly fun, and it gives you a nice little sense of sort of the dynamic between Big Guy and between Rusty. Mm-hmm. It gives you a really kind of a grand scope of the heroism that's going to be in this, and sort of the stakes and what's at large. Because
definitely the threats that are on display too. Yeah,
because we have this giant monster thing that at some point is attacking them, and just Big Guy, I'm gonna get these two wrong all night. And so Big Guy just sort of like unloads on him with this elbow cannon that is just like these double elbow guns that are just amazing. And but what was creepy, it's amazing to see the guns kind of come out of his elbows like this and just unload on everything. What was creepy is that it wasn't something that like destroyed this alien right away. You just sort of saw the alien like in states of just like, oh no,
slowly being blown apart by machine guns.
I was like, well, maybe we didn't need to see all that, guys. But
but it's alien, so it's fine.
Yeah, but it's good. I will say I did have to go back and listen to it then a second time.
Yep.
And I'm glad that we were able to find what the actual theme song entails in terms of the lyrics.
Yeah, I could not. I mean, I listened to it a couple times. I got 90% of it, but there were some things where I was just like, I don't know what you're saying. But yeah.
But in terms of visuals, tones, and sort of setting the stakes and the relationships in this, great job all around. This was really cool.
Yeah, and it's a fun little song too. It's very much like a patriotic march, but on display is the actions of Big Guy and then Rusty when he comes in. So it's just a lot of heroic moments, kind of maybe clips from the show. I'm not really sure, but it looks like just clip sections. Yeah.
There's like two part. There was a point of this where it was something where like because it's very Big Guy oriented.
Yes.
And for like 2 seconds, I was like, oh shit, this is like Godzilla and Godzuki.
Yeah.
Because it's like really, really patriotic and it's doing something big. And then like, and Rusty.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, get him out of here. Get him out of here.
But it actually is more than that. So, I mean, we don't get that sense in the theme song. They don't give away the entirety of the plot and how these two get together. Which is good, but in the theme song, it's fun because it's just like a nice patriotic march, and it's a weird kind of, because this was in 1999, it's weirdly a throwback to like 40s and 50s, so I don't know how much of it is satire and how much of it is just like an homage to those times, if it just wants to bring back that like classic feel-good patriotic robot fighting stuff, I don't know, or if it's just like using patriotism as a satire for this craziness that's unfolding on screen. I don't know, but either way, it works. So it was a lot of fun.
Knowing the fact that Frank Miller, who wrote Sin City,
Exactly.
put this together, I'm going to say both.
Yeah,
like, I'm going to say little column A, little bit of column murder.
Yeah, definitely the murder column. But we don't really start off with murder, which is nice.
No, we don't.
It takes a while to get to the murder.
Yeah, it takes a little bit of time.
Just like a little bit. I believe this first episode is called Creatures Great and Small.
Okay.
And that tells you absolutely nothing, but it is a title if you want to look for it out there so you know the episode that we watched. This one starts off with some cows, which is cute. And it's got some cows, and anytime you're talking cows, you obviously want to factor in alien.
Oh, man. This was you think about this, about like the whole abduction idea and story, and so we have these kind of classic UFO flying saucers circling in broad daylight.
Oh, yeah.
In broad daylight, circling around this farm and then beginning to abduct these cows. And I'm just like, what are you going to learn from these cows? What are you going to get from these cows?
Milk?
Yeah, I mean, well, we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah, there's so many quotes.
There's so many quotes from this series. There's so many Big Guy quotes from this thing that it's pretty incredible. And so it was just, at some point, as the abduction is occurring, you sort of get like this weird Zeppelin sort of like dirigible thing that like shows up over top of them.
It's
and I was
like
like,
Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow, but if they had like giant all white Zeppelins instead. And it's amazing. Like I look, this is part of the throwback to like the classic maybe 30s era of like kind of like pre-Golden Age comics. Kind of that classic era, the Art Deco era. My decades are probably way off here, but that kind of like aesthetic is what they're going for. So Rusty or Big Guy's design is like that. The Zeppelin's design is a throwback to early 20th century. And that was a really cool way to introduce him, I thought.
Yeah. Well, I actually thought for 2 seconds, I was like, oh shit, that's the mothership for all these other little baby ships.
Right. Nope.
And I was totally wrong.
Super wrong.
Again, a lot of this show, for me being a first time watching it, total surprise for me.
Which is great.
I'll be honest with you, I came in with very low expectations.
Okay,
and then it exceeded them pretty much a majority of the way.
Okay, good. Yeah.
But yeah, we get this thing where all of a sudden we see this robot, and I was like, all right, well, it's a robot. It's a robot. Still could be an alien. Still could be an alien robot.
Sure,
I don't know.
alien robots. Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, like, he's got missiles that are locking onto the smaller ships, and he's just like, a wasted shot costs taxpayers dearly. And I'm like,
such a great line.
What the fuck?
He's like, weapons locked, precision counts. And he's just talking to himself. I love it, though. I love his little monologue.
Yeah. So, I mean, I wonder if it was something where, like, there was, like, the rest of his team was, like, sort of on, like, ear comms, sort of back there, and he's just like, guys, guess I gotta let you know what's going on with this. Because to me, originally, I'm still thinking, I'm just like, this is still just a giant robot.
Yeah, you don't know anything about a team. You don't know anything about a base. You don't know anything about what the robot entails. If it's an actual robot, if it's a machine that somebody's piloting, you don't know anything about that. You just assume, like Sean said, just a robot. Just a wisecracking robot.
Just a wisecracking, straight-talking robot.
That's right.
A good American robot.
That's right.
And he is
made out of American steel.
And he is just targeting. He's just targeting these aliens,
like a good American should.
Right, and blowing them up out of the sky.
Exactly.
But they fight back. These aliens, they fight back.
Yeah, he takes a few of them out with his precision shots, but then a couple more kind of come out of nowhere, and he's like, "Well, it's about to switch it to what's he say, low tech?"
Yeah. He goes, "Time to go low tech," and I was
Low-tech.
like, "You're a giant robot. Like, you're not low tech. Nothing about you is low tech."
I thought he was just gonna like drop out of the zeppelin and just like smash them with his fists, which is essentially
That would've been
more or less what he
cool.
does. But yeah, I thought that was the low tech, was just like hammer the shit out of them.
Yeah.
But this is a good place to
Instead-
talk about his design, because what does he do next? This was a cool surprise. I remember watching as a kid. Well, not a kid. I was probably like mid-teens. But just watching it then, I was like, that's a pretty cool design.
So these are the aforementioned elbow guns that
Yeah,
all of a sudden
exactly.
pop up. So these elbow guns, I don't know if you caught this, but they sounded a lot different in the intro, in the theme song, than they did in this all of a sudden introduction.
Oh, like the
Because-
effects, the sound effects?
Yeah, because with the sound effects
no.
sounded like screaming eagles, and I was like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck is gonna be
How American
more,
can you get?
how goddamn patriotic is this robot? Where it's just like just like
I
coming
love it
out
if it just launched eagles out of his elbows. Like eagle-shaped bullets just flying out of his elbows. That's like a
Like-
Judge Dredd thing.
Exactly. Just I want Stallone. He's just like, I am the robot, and you're just like, no, Stallone, you're not. I am the robot.
No.
Like, no, you're
Stallone,
at home and you're watching.
You're in an
"I
old
am
folks'
the-
home. We're
will
about to
be-
sedate you again.
What,
That's it. Just count back.
guys? I was
3,
uh,
2,
3, 5, 8.
sleepy time. There you go.
I am demolition man.
Good job.
Okay.
Have a nice rest. No, but I loved it. So he
Uh.
just like, he flips his arms up. It's really hard to see without the visuals. But he essentially, like, his arms kind of open up at the elbow joint, and these like 2 machine guns kind of come out on like a descending like rail system on both sides, and he just like shoots from these guns hidden within his arms. If they would have bent the other way, I thought that would have been like way more jarring and shocking, but also a pretty cool way to just show like, I'm a robot and I'm not like, you know, it's not a giant human inside a robot suit or anything like that. It's just like, I have the human construction on the outside, but I'm just chock full of weapons everywhere else. So I just love that the design was just like, it took that angle and it took that surprise, that chance for surprise for the aliens and for the viewers, because I'm sure they didn't see that coming.
No, nobody sees screaming eagles being shot out of elbows.
No.
Since watching this, I have tried to get a gun to
Yeah.
come out of my elbow. The closest I've gotten is duct taping a Nerf gun, a Nerf Maverick, on the bottom of my arm,
I
like
think
on my
we're-
tricep.
I think we're actually passing legislation to get guns implanted in every American citizen.
Make American robots guns again.
That's right. I love it.
Yeah. Trying.
That's good. So he
Guys.
eventually dispatches the aliens. It does come down to 1 alien ship and 1 cow, and he's able to save the cow, destroy the ship, and then also take the alien prisoner. So he basically succeeds on like all fronts. This is like mission accomplished. Very little
So let's-
collateral damage. Nicely done.
So let's go back to this final bit of monologuing
Yeah,
that he has.
Oh yeah, what
in
else?
this
I
sense.
wrote a lot of these down, but I don't exactly remember where they came from. Oh
So
yes,
this-
I do. Go ahead.
Yeah, so this is a part where, and maybe you have it written down.
I
Maybe
do,
you
I
want
do.
to share with us.
No, go ahead.
But evidently, Dave, you tell me these aliens? They seem to be trying to prevent kids from being healthy.
No, none of this Earth's surgical probe-wielding invaders gonna deprive this planet's children and their growing bones of even 1 glass of wholesome milk.
I mean, who doesn't want to carry on the good fight against osteoporosis in kids?
The best
And,
was
like-
I could hear like the voice actor like taking like a deep breath of air because he had to say this all in like one shot, and just like he barely paused throughout because he just had to like blast through those things. But it's a great line. It's hilarious.
Yeah. Followed by the what was it, like the news team saying,
Yeah.
they're like, hey, big guy, say cheese, and he just goes, I'm all teeth.
Yeah, because he does, and nothing on his face moves. It's just like
Yeah.
a solid chunk of metal that's his face. And that's it. So that brings us into the intro sequence and theme song. So that was like our introduction to Big Guy right there. So it tells you a lot of things. He's a robot of some kind. He is a defender of Earth against alien threats and savior of cows and milk, which is nice. Very patriotic. You don't quite get that until you get into the theme song, but that's very apparent. And the cool thing was that it wasn't like a clandestine operation. Like, this isn't a secret robot on secret missions. It's very much a propaganda machine. He's out there in full view, and he's bigger than life, and everybody knows about him, and everybody's familiar with him. And then it's only after we get back from the intro, and I'm assuming the commercials, where we learn a little bit more about him and what's going on with Big Guy after nearly 10 years of service. So he's got a great record, a decade's worth of commendations, but what's the deal now?
I think that this is actually a really good mark of some decent storytelling.
Yeah, definitely.
Here is that whole thing of like, once upon a time there was X, and every day he did X, and then suddenly on one important day, Y happened. And this is a big Y. Like, this is a big variable to throw into the equation, is that today of all days that we are finally introduced to Big Guy is the day that he's actually being decommissioned. And he's being replaced by a younger robot. A
young, sexy robot fresh out of college.
Oh, God.
Something like that.
Something like that?
Not even close to like that. So this is where we're introduced to, I believe it's Quark Industries.
Quark Industries, yes.
Industries. They have a new CEO who is kind of this weirdo with like a red shock of hair and apparently a talking monkey, which is also a surprise.
Yeah, that was surprising.
So when we say talking monkey, we don't just mean like chittering monkey. We mean speaking English and fairly eloquently, which is just kind of like a random thing that they throw in somewhere later in this cartoon. And
at this point, though, we're just like, look, aliens and weird things exist.
Sure.
Why not? Why not talking monkeys?
Why not? Because that's what you get. So
yeah.
So their plan is to retire Big Guy. Now go ahead.
I was gonna say, why not have a little bit of exposition on top of the shoulder of presumably the bad guy?
Yeah, definitely. I don't even know if he's really the bad guy. He's just kind of like incompetent. He just is like, pretty much anytime you have a new CEO come into a company, they're gonna probably have a bit of incompetence associated with them, one way or another. Let's just say that. So
it's like in the job description.
Yeah, it's like it's a necessity. It's a requirement. 10 years of incompetence. Anyway, so their plan is to retire Big Guy, and not just retire him, because he's not just a robot that you can turn a switch off. He's actually like the super advanced suit. So it's someone inside who's actually piloting him. And someone by the name of Lieutenant Dwayne Hunter. And you see this when the Zeppelin comes back to like a battleship that's out in the ocean somewhere, and that is like their base of operations. So it lands there, kind of docks and goes below, and they have this cool sequence where the Big Guy kind of like goes into his harness, and then a tech comes and like kind of opens the back hatch, and this dude's just like sitting in the cockpit, and he just like backs out of it, and he's just like, what is it? What does he say? Something like, good shooting, Sheriff?
His tech just goes, fancy shooting, Sheriff.
Yeah.
Lieutenant Sheriff to you.
Yeah.
And I was like,
this must be Lieutenant Sheriff, Big Guy. Yeah. So that's when we find out that he is just basically like a battle suit. So when they decommission him, it's a little more gruesome than just turning a switch and putting him in cold storage. They actually like have to take apart all his bits and pieces, his head, his arms. They have to take out his power core, which is a plot point that comes back in later, which is pretty interesting. But in the meantime, Lieutenant Dwayne Hunter receives a Medal of Honor. And surprisingly, they actually let him just keep that and wear it around, and nobody asks questions, I guess.
Well, I mean, like, it's like his day of retirement. I feel like with the amount of NDAs that he probably signed, in addition to the fact that I'm pretty sure, because I mean, this isn't just a lie. This is a lie that the government has told the world.
Yes.
This is the scale of this lie, where the government has told everybody that Big Guy is a robot because they didn't want to tell him that he was simply just a tank with a human inside.
Right.
Like, this is the ruse that they've been, pitching to everybody, because I guess they didn't want to tell. I guess they wanted people to think.
Yeah, they had like technological superiority
technology?
like that. Yeah, that like basically like, wow, these guys are so far ahead of us that you can't even come close to touching with them. We definitely should not mess with them. So they had to keep that quiet.
This is like the moon landing. It's
exactly like it.
Ridiculous.
Just ridiculous. In an alternate world, we, instead of landing on the moon, we just built Big Guy. And I kind of want to go to that world now and see what it's like.
That sounds like a pretty cool world.
It sounds pretty sweet.
I'm on board with you.
I am on board with that. Now, here's an interesting thing where we get to play with scale a little bit, right? So we've seen the aliens, we've seen Big Guy, we've seen how big he is compared to his, relatively small pilot who's inside, how big that Zeppelin is to house Big Guy that he gets to pilot around. And now we shrink back down and we're introduced to Rusty for the first time. So what was your introduction to Rusty like?
It was actually frustrating.
Okay. Why?
And it's not because I didn't like the character design. I mean, he's a ginger boy robot. And I was just like, yeah, I'm 100% on board with this.
He's Ginger Astro Boy, essentially.
Yeah. Ginger Astro Boy. And for me, I was like, that's a hero that I can get behind.
Yeah.
But I was more frustrated about the process.
Okay.
Because they're unveiling the replacement, and I'm sure that this was just simply for the cartoon effects, but it frustrated me as an adult nonetheless. And having like worked for the government at points in my career, where it was like, guys, we're getting rid of this thing, and at like 1400 hours, and at 1405 we're gonna see the next thing. Yeah, on July 12th. And I'm just like, guys, why didn't we see this stuff ahead of time?
Yeah,
like, how come?
Maybe don't mothball that first thing until the new thing we're sure works and it's rolled out, and then we can mothball the other thing. But too late. Whatever. Let's continue.
A little bit of user acceptance testing, where everybody's kind of comfortable with the fact that like whatever you're putting out into the field to protect humanity is up to snuff.
Yeah. But this, I mean, one of the reasons they want to do this is because they're saying this is what they actually wanted to achieve. They actually wanted to achieve legitimate artificial intelligence, and they wanted to make an actual sentient robot that acts as a defender. So the reason they're rolling Rusty out is because they think they've achieved this. But then you quickly learn that they've like rushed everything through development. The scientists in charge, there's Dr. Donovan and then Dr. Slate. Dr. Slate is more kind of like Rusty's mom. Dr. Donovan is this new CEO who's kind of a jerk. They've both rushed things. They've both made bad decisions. And Slate sees Rusty more from the side of like, what an amazing discovery, this artificial intelligence, whereas Donovan sees it as, what an amazing opportunity to get all these military contracts.
Right.
And that's kind of the divide. And they've both made mistakes. And that's why Rusty is a sweet little nuclear-powered kid, but he's got a lot of problems.
And it's really kind of frightening that they do this big unveil, and everybody in the room is like, so where's the rest of what?
Because even Hunter, who nobody knows, I mean, everybody knows except Rusty, like what his deal is, in the room at least, because it's very like small operation. But he's like, you're going to replace the big guy, the giant robot, the BGY-11, with this tiny little thing. And he's like, all right, I guess I'll just go fish. I'll just go trout fishing in Colorado or wherever he was.
I feel like if anything, he should have gone to like a management leadership style conference and gotten like a 6 Sigma black belt.
Yeah,
he could have joined G.I. Joe.
He could have joined G.I. Joe.
This could have been
the crossover event of the century.
That's what I'm saying. Is that from last week? Get a little bit of that Sigma 6 Sigma going in there. Got a new recruit, which is this. He's already served out a significant amount of military,
true. And now he can be a Black Ops mercenary. And where better to go than G.I. Joe Sigma 6, that group of terrorists, as we learned last week.
Guys, it's all coming full circle this month.
Speaking of that, so it wasn't a great idea to rush development of Rusty. It's not a great idea to mothball Big Guy before you roll Rusty out. But I mean, it's not going to be a problem, right? Big Guy just took down a threat. We're probably not going to see another threat for a while. He's got some time, yeah?
Lo and behold, I don't know why this is a reoccurring theme, but it seems like in the middle of this same farm that we were at where shit was getting abducted, suddenly the land splits open and a giant troll comes out of it.
Something.
Also, what is wrong with your soil that this shit keeps happening here, farmer? Like, I feel like this farmland is the problem, guys. We need to address. Look, we're trying to fix the immediate problem. Mm-hmm. We need to fix the long-term problem, guys. Got to get rid of farms.
Well, look, we are also rolling back legislations on use of pesticides and other materials in farming. So don't worry about that. We'll be totally fine.
Yes.
But more super monsters dubbed annihilators.
Yeah, or behemoths.
Yeah,
the same thing.
A lot of things. This random monster.
They just threw like the synonym book at this thing. Yeah. If it's over 5 stories tall, they're just like, ugh. This mayhem. You're just
colossus.
Like, whoa, settle. Yeah, exactly. Just settle down.
Yeah, you've got a lot more episodes. Like, just hold on to those for a while. Pick one and continue on.
There was like a moment where I wish that like Cisco from the CW Flash had shown up and give it like a catchy nickname, and I was like, that could have been the job of the monkey on a shoulder.
Could have been.
But no,
that would have been good.
Couldn't even get that far.
But some of them call it the Annihilator. Some of them call it the Behemoth. So it's just kind of like this giant mud troll that's just like laying waste to the countryside. I did like that they send the army in, or National Guard, whoever was like there in Neutronic City, ready to go and just take this thing out. I like that they sent them in and they were just like completely useless against this thing, outmatched, outclassed, outsized, and outgunned. So that was kind of nice to see that. So they don't always just go to big guy or now Rusty. They actually do try to handle stuff for themselves. They're just like Power Rangers or anything else. They're always like completely useless. So it was good to see.
I was very kind of weirded out when the tank starts firing at this troll behemoth.
Yeah.
And suddenly the troll just throws up dirt and soil on it and it melts it. And I was like, uh-oh.
It was like when we used to melt, we used to set up like army toys and we used to just like melt them over like a burn barrel.
Sure.
Because we had nothing else to do in the Poconos. So it was just kind of like that, like the slow
That's how childhoods work, Dave. That's how childhood work.
Exactly.
Don't be embarrassed.
No, not at all. I loved it. So it was that same kind of thing where they like just slowly melted. And now's where the murders start.
Yeah.
Now's where the murders start. Slowly digested.
But like we flip back and it's like Rusty and he's like, "Did I do good? I kept my big trap shut."
Yeah, he hasn't said a word through this entire meeting. So they raise him up in the center of this like conference table and he's just kind of spinning around like a new car on display, but he doesn't say a word. And it's because the Donovan told him like, "You shut your trap and don't ruin this for us, you little shit." So then Dr. Slade is like the more caring one and she kind of like encourages him. But then unfortunately this thing lands and Rusty now has to go into battle.
Yeah.
And they don't think he's ready. Dr. Slate is like, there's no way he's ready for this.
Do you know why Dr. Slate doesn't think that he's ready?
Because she's smart and she knows that he's not ready?
No, because he is a boy robot.
Oh.
Hey, why are we making boy robots? Just make
they take less parts.
Robot.
Like less material.
Sure.
Why not just make a baby robot at that point then?
Yeah, just make a bunch of little like nano baby robots.
That'd be the cutest thing.
Those would be adorable.
Actually, it would almost be exactly like Powerpuff Girls. So.
Well, that kind of be. Yeah, that would be.
So yeah, it is the cutest thing.
But Slade just goes, yeah. I don't think that he should go into battle because he doesn't fully know how to utilize his weapons.
Yeah, and he almost blows her up and disintegrates the entire facility because he's trying to prove to her he's like, "I know how to use my weapons," and he like fires up his nuclear fingers, and she's like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa." And he's like, "Oh yeah, rule number 1, never use weapons in the house."
Yeah. How do we give him nuclear weapons on his fingers, guys? Ugh.
Finger guns. If you're at home making the pew noises, then you're not too far off. So Slate is basically like, look, he's not trained, he's not fully ready for this, and Donovan's like, it's too late now. We already scrapped big guys. You got nothing left to do. Go ahead.
And in this moment, suddenly this little chimp that we've talked about delivers its first line where it goes, "This should be interesting," and I just go. And
there's
anybody paying attention is like,
there you're just like,
what? It just and then it just kind of like mugs to the camera and has one of the like the girl from the Orbit's gum commercial where it just goes, Gleam. And you're like, what? And he goes, what? A girl can't speak her mind? And I'm just like, what the fuck is happening here?
It's so weird because everything else in here we take for granted in like these action cartoons. It's like there's an alien menace, there's a terrestrial hero. It doesn't matter if it's a robot, an alien, a superhero, whatever. It's like, that's fine. But as soon as this talking monkey comes into frame, you're just kind of like, I don't know what's going to happen next. Like anything could possibly happen. I don't know if they explain it later on, but I do know that Jenny, I think it's Jenny, is kind of like a fan favorite. Like delivers a lot of humor. It's very strange and just kind of like a fun thing. Has nothing to do with the rest of the robots. Just kind of a fun thing. So let's talk about Rusty's big day out. How's it go?
Well, I also want to mention this that Slate drops too. Rusty's a prototype.
Yeah, he's Rusty not even like finished not, like Delta model or anything. He's like first of his kind.
Yeah, this is like getting a coffee table from IKEA and just being like, I'm gonna put like I'm gonna put 3 of the 4 legs on this thing,
or
and then I'm gonna lose an Allen wrench and be like, the fuck is going on? Meatballs.
Or it's like literally putting like a new engine in a car for the first time and then just mass producing it without ever testing it and just like sending it out into the public and just being like, I'm sure it's totally fine. We'll find out in a little bit.
It's just, guys, it's always a bad idea.
That's long story short, bad idea.
Because what happens to him, Dave?
Well, so Rusty is like super confident, which is nice. Confident kid. He's like, I'm a great robot, or what is his line? He's like, I'm a dang good robot.
Yeah, something like that.
Something silly and very like 1940s. I'm a super good boy. I'm a great robot. So anyway, super confident, super fast. He can fly very, very fast. He's all kinds of aerodynamic. And he gets into battle, and he's just like, I'm just going to go knock this thing out. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm just going to go punch it in the jaw and just knock this thing out. And I was like, okay, little man, like, let's see what you can do. He doesn't even get close. This thing just, like, does the old, like, catch a fly or, like, smash it between both hands kind of thing and just, like, crushes Rusty's little head in.
Crushes him.
Just.
No pain receptors.
Yeah, he, like, knocks it. He's smashed into paste. He hits the ground, and he kind of, like, rolls up out of the dirt, and he's got a huge divot in his, like, right side of his head. Huge. Not just, like, a little bump. Massive divot. And he knocks on it. He's like, no pain receptors. I'm like, that's not good. That's not good. That you don't know that you're getting your ass kicked then if you can't feel that. So he tries to, like, rally himself up and get back into it. But by the time he gets the courage to do that again, he gets stomped. And this time he's pretty much down for the count.
Yeah.
So great test for Rusty and for the rest of the world who's like, well, now we are fucked.
Yeah, baby's big day out is not going well so far.
It's not going well.
Which they even make light of, and they're just like saying, what was it? They call him, next time you feel like downloading into a robot, the little engine that could. Yeah. And I was like, whoa.
Like, next time you want to download the little engine that could into a nuclear-powered robot, don't. I was like, all right, Dick, what have you done? God. Talking monkey. So at this point, everybody on Earth is just kind of like, well, shit. Because they know that Rusty is kind of not lived up to expectations, and Big Guy is nowhere to be found. So Big Guy's team is like, wow, we've really got to get him back together. So everybody above them thinks that Big Guy is completely out of commission because they've scrapped the power cell that they need. But actually, earlier on in the episode, the team was like, you chuckleheads don't know how to handle this. You're going to blow everybody up. So let us take it. And do you remember what they swapped it for?
It was like a box of car batteries.
Yeah, like a truck full of car batteries, to which the guy driving the truck was like, we're all going to get court-martialed. That's the only thing he says this entire time. He just shouts it.
Oh, God.
But essentially, they get to the Smithsonian, they get all the parts of Big Guy together, and they get the power cell. Now, when they do this, they happen to run across cross paths with Rusty. So what's his like headspace, other than the fact that his head's caved in? What's his headspace at this point?
So, I mean, he idolizes Big Guy.
Because he thinks he's a robot.
Thinks he's a robot, and he wants to pair up. He wants to, he wants to sidekick this.
Yeah, he wants to learn from him, wants to fight alongside him, wants to help him. Yeah.
Because again, like, as a robot boy, he believes that he is going to grow up into a robot adult.
Yeah.
And if he has the tutelage from Big Guy, then he'll grow up in a similar fashion. And I'm just like,
all kinds of wrong.
That's kind of freaky.
Yeah, there's a lot of like weird, like cybernetic oddities that kind of happen in the series, I know, but definitely a couple in this first episode. Just like weird things where you're just like, like watching somebody's elbows split apart and have guns fly out of them. Like that's just like a quick little jarring moment. It's cool, but it's not expected. And there's things like that happen later in this episode too. So yeah, for Rusty, he wants to see Big Guy back in action, but Rusty recognizes Lieutenant Hunter, and he kind of he brings him up short. He's like, "Hey, I saw you back at my like introduction. What are you doing here? What do you have to do with Big Guy?" And you remember what Hunter says? What's Hunter's cover? What's his Clark Kent?
He's the chief mechanic. He's the chief mechanic of the Big Guy.
The Big Guy. And Rusty's like, "Yeah, that totally makes sense and is not mysterious in any way. So I'll allow that."
Yeah. Somebody just put a Medal of Valor on you.
Bright shining medal.
Yeah. And I was there and I watched it.
Yeah.
And and the rest of your team really, showed up in like their overalls.
Yeah.
And like their work dickies.
Yeah.
And everybody was just like, yeah, let's just sit and hang out here with like a bunch of like 4-star marshals.
And it was weird that the medal
4-star generals. 4-star marshals.
4-star marshals is even better. That's a great Tommy Lee Jones movie. The funny thing was that the medal read, "Thanks for 10 years of service piloting Big Guy, the mecha that's not actually a robot. Signed, America."
Signed 4-star marshal.
Signed 4-star
Tommy
marshal,
Lee Jones.
Mr. America. So yeah, okay. So again, they're keeping that secret from Rusty. That's kind of a cool twist on this story. It could have been a very one-note story about a big robot and a small robot battling monsters, whatever. That's still fun. But they have this extra twist where there's what's human intelligence, what's artificial intelligence, how do you keep the two separate, how do the two kind of mesh together, and where do they cross over? So that's a fun thing that they play with, but not in like too deep a way. All right, so now we've got the Annihilator still stomping all over the city. Yeah. So what's up next? Big guy back in action?
Big guy's back in action. Rusty wants to work with him. He's just like, look, big guy works alone. Like that's it.
That's his MO.
Like,
he's been doing it for 10 years. Yeah.
And I've got a behemoth to go clobber.
Yeah. This is where they play with scale again though too, because we saw big guy and how he was much bigger than anything else, but now he comes up against this behemoth, and like the scale of this thing is like way bigger than you expected.
Yeah. This is also like where he sort of monologues for a minute.
Yes.
In like a very patriotic sense.
Right.
He's just like, for God and country, for every baby who's ever gonna cut a tooth, for every kid who's ever studied hard to get a good job, for every last creature on the planet Earth, I'm going in.
That was really
You're
good.
like, whoa, okay.
I loved it.
Okay.
I loved it. I also love when he shows up on scene and he's like, subject cited, definitely not an American.
Yeah.
That one creeped me out a little bit though.
Yeah.
That one creeped me out a little bit more.
Is it weirder than as he's getting ready to, like, because the dirigible Zeppelin thing that big guy is in gets like grabbed by this giant troll.
Yeah, so this is where we're talking
troll.
This is where we're talking scale. So this Annihilator thing
crazy.
is big enough to just like grab that Zeppelin and just like hold it no problem. Like it's a little bath toy for it.
So big guy jumps out and he goes, time to dish out the candy.
It was pretty sweet.
And
Well, do you remember what he jumps out of the Zeppelin with? It's not just himself.
Like two huge bombs.
Two huge bombs that are both like as big, if not bigger than he is.
I like for 2 seconds, I was like, oh, this is the Tick, but with a robot.
Yes.
Like, this is the Tick, but with a fucking robot.
It basically was. Time to dish out the candy.
but it was bombs that had like real like Skittles in them.
Yeah, it was just bombs, like Skittle bombs. So it was delicious.
Yeah. So that like I feel like he was a cross in this instance between the Tick and like a real PG version of Duke Nukem.
Yeah, I could see that. I was gonna say like the Tick and like Big O or like any mecha kind of thing. Yeah,
okay. I could see that.
Because Big O had that kind of weird artistic like aesthetic to it.
Yeah, it had that like very art deco, art noir
kind
of style to it that was like that steampunk but not really steampunk kind of thing about it. Like I don't know.
Yeah, so if you've never seen it, definitely go check these out. Visually, they're really cool looking, but it's got a neat look to it. But yeah, there's definitely the humor elements of the Tick definitely show up. Speaking of showing up, who else shows up to help out the big guy? Because he's got his hands full, sometimes literally, with this Annihilator.
Right, because this thing has taken and consumed these 2 bombs, and it like has automatically healed itself.
Yeah, once the Skittles exploded inside, exploded with flavor.
The rainbows that were in
the rainbows came bursting out, put holes in the monsters.
Consumed the rainbows and was like rainbows consumed.
Yeah, that's right.
And so it's a little bit creepy because all of a sudden you're just like, ooh no. In this moment, like this whole battle ensues, and it happens pretty quickly.
Yeah, and he not only regenerates, then he also has this other power that we kind of glimpsed earlier that makes things more complicated for Big Guy.
Right. So Big Guy's going in for one of the classic clobber moves to punch him in the chin, knock him out, sort of in the same way that Rusty went earlier.
For the chops.
He gets spit on. He gets like a big loogie, big earth loogie from this troll, and it dissolves all of the components. Which again, here we go with like another Duke Nukem / like Tick moment where he pulls off his arm and he goes, like any good soldier, sometimes you have to say farewell to arms.
So bad.
You're just like, oh, okay.
Because what he literally does next, as the armor's being eroded away from his arm, is he just detaches his arm. I love that he just throws it at the monster. It does nothing.
Yeah.
It doesn't even like register on screen. It's just like he throws it and it's just gone.
It's like if you were to throw a quarter at the side of your house.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh, that fuck.
Yeah.
All right.
It just lands in the bushes. And it's like, it's worth something, but is it worth going to go fetch it now?
Nope.
Nope.
Certainly not.
And then probably the best moment of the entire episode happens next. Well, maybe not next, because Rusty does show up. He tries to help out again, but he is still in over his head. So he tries to punch this thing around. He gets swatted into the concrete. Big guy's like, I told you to like stay back, kid. Let me handle this. You're gonna get yourself hurt. He does try his nucleoprotonic finger gun. How does that go over?
Poorly. Very poorly.
What happens? Is
Again,
it like
Prototype doesn't understand his entire arsenal
Right.
that he has within him.
Right.
He shoots off half of a building. That half of a building just falls on him.
Which is
He's
still
just
better
like,
than Man of Steel, where it fell on thousands of people. But
God.
at least it only fell on him. There was a cool moment, and listen up, fucking Zack Snyder. This is all you had to do. If a fucking robot cartoon could do it, maybe you can figure it out too. But at one point, when Big Guy is like checking the sector or checking the area that he's in, he's like, "Great, all citizens have been evacuated." I'm like, that's all I need to hear. Then you can destroy everything you need to because everybody's fine. He's doing his job as a fucking hero. Anyway.
I thought you were going to comment on the Zack Snyder part where Big Guy, where Lieutenant Hunter inside, he just goes, "That kid's his own worst enemy." And I was like, oh, DC Marvel Universe is its own worst enemy.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I was like, fuck.
All right, so we got Rusty. He just Supermaned himself and collapsed a building onto his own head. Once he gets out, though...
No pain
receptor.
Yeah, I just want that over and over and over again.
We'll find
it's
that
ridiculous. No pain receptors.
No pain receptors. Oh, and if it helps, God. He has the same voice as... It's similar. I think it might be the same person as Bobby from King of the Hill.
Pamela Alden?
Yes.
Does she do Bobby from King of the Hill?
I want to say yes.
Pamela Alden is like the woman that Louis C.K. casts in everything, correct?
Yeah, I believe so, yes.
Yeah, she's the best.
Yeah, we will have to double check that because I did not check that, but I'm pretty sure it's the same voice as Bobby from King of the Hill. But anyway, so Rusty's standing there, and Big Guy kind of looks at him in a new light, and he literally scans him because he's like, oh, this kid really does pack a lot of power, something like that. He is loaded to the gills or some weird
say it less creepy. The Big Guy checks out the kid.
The Big Guy checks out the kid, and he likes what he sees.
Oh Christ!
And then he plugs him in.
So he does.
He literally does.
This is the part that you're saying is so creepy, Dave.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, the first part of it I want to get into just because it pissed me off. I want you please give us a little bit of the. So he grabs the kid, and then without saying anything, he just sort of like pushes some release button on the side of his feet off. The boy's legs just fall off.
Like Pinocchio or something. Like it just hung him up by his strings and ripped his legs off.
It's like Big Guy grabs Rusty, hits a little like button on the back of him, and his legs just go like, just like fall right off.
Quick release lever.
Quick release lever legs.
Yep.
And so they just drop to the ground, and you're like, what?
What's about to happen? This was pretty cool, though. I mean, it was super creepy, but it was actually kind of a cool... I thought it was interesting. I mean, he could have just held him, which also would have been fine. Just like hold him and steady him, but instead
But what did he do, Dave?
He ripped his legs off and plugged him into his severed arm socket. So remember when he took his own arm off? He has this socket in his arm that he can plug stuff into, and apparently Rusty the Boy Robot's legs fit perfectly into that socket. And why? Because thank Henry Ford for standardized parts.
Yep.
Yikes. So now you've got
more quotes.
You've got giant Big Guy Robot with Boy Rusty Robot as his like right fist. And Rusty now is like, oh, okay, I get what you're trying to do. And he does like a double finger gun, Yu Yu Hakusho kind of thing, pointed right at Annihilator. And this, I mean, go ahead. How's it go from there?
I mean, they shoot this thing to pieces.
Yeah, I mean, he's just disintegrated. Like
just disintegrates.
Gone. So it's actually a pretty cool team up at that point. It's a super creepy way to go about it, but it's a pretty cool team up. And now both guys have their confidence back. Rusty is like ready to be like, I guess he puts his feet back on. I have no idea. And he's like, oh man, that was super great. Like, I can't wait to work with you again. And he kind of like turns and looks up, but where's Big Guy?
Big Guy is he's already taken off.
He's gone.
Right?
He works by himself, so he's gone. That's it.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, we saw a glimpse of this, you know, with sort of the cheesy line like at the beginning of this, you know, where he's asked to like say cheese and he's like, I'm all teeth. And like we're just going like right back to a news report where they are just kind of like, you know, they're recapping and they're honoring the fact that like, you know, Big Guy was able to come to the rescue. And this is the moment where all of a sudden like inside of Big Guy's control panel, like the general shows up.
Right. On like a vid screen.
Yeah. And it's just like, hey, did a real good job. And on behalf of the BGY 11 committee, we're recommissioning you for work.
Hey, sounds great. No strings attached, right? Let's get back to work. No, you said no strings. Let's get back to work.
No, but as a general, I'm also gonna need you to partner up with this boy robot now.
I mean, I guess that sounds fine.
It's pretty much what the terms and conditions are of you being able to continue to fight for America.
You did sign the Apple terms of conditions.
The EULA? Yeah.
The EULA without reading it, didn't you? It said you had to partner up with a boy robot who may or may not nuke your face off every week.
Yep, every damn time.
I loved it though.
Come on, Apple.
Because Hunter was just like, you want me to team up with the kid, don't you? And he was like, yeah. He's like, under your training, he could be a much better soldier, or will be a much better soldier. So I actually kind of liked it. They didn't force it on him. It was kind of a mutual understanding at that point. Like, this kid is the wave of the future. We just have to train him. And the best person to train him is you, but you have to stay in disguise as a giant robot. So it's kind of a really interesting way to start their relationship out after having your feet cut off and plugged into a severed arm.
And he does a really cool thing, too, where Big Guy's like, we should also honor Rusty. Come up here, my sidekick. Yeah. And you're like, oh, okay. Like, he's so proud at this point. You know, he's a little confused, but he's also so proud of like what's happened and like what he's been through. He's just like, I did a thing and my legs popped off and I'm a gun.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yes, you were, kid. Yes, you were. Man. Anything else from Big Guy and Rusty the Boy Robot before we move into reviews?
The only thing that made me crack up, and this is the way that the next time I see you in person, Dave, I want to greet you, is I'm going to be on a helicopter. I need you to be fishing.
Okay.
At the same time, and I'm gonna come in the helicopter with a crew of our friends over top of that like lake where you're fishing, and I'm just gonna open up the side of the helo door,
what you gonna yell?
and I'm gonna trouble,
be like,
and that's it.
I guess I gotta go.
And that's it.
That's great. It's like a call would have sufficed. Like literally a call would. I'm just glad that they're better helicopter pilots than the idiots of. What was it? Emergency Plus 4, who just crashed multiple helicopters in the mountains, set kids on fire.
Oh God, the worst.
Yikes! Don't listen to that. I mean, do listen to it, but don't watch that show.
Yeah.
But before we tell you whether or not to watch this show, Sean, are you up for reading another review out there from IMDb?
Yeah, let's get into
this. We
this.
don't have a love and hate tonight because actually nobody hated this show on IMDb, which I'm kind of proud of. Nicely done, guys.
Yeah. Well done, guys.
If you do hate it, please don't ever leave a review.
So this is from Kai18, and his location is From the Big Guy's Suit.
That's right.
And it's titled A Kids Series by Frank Miller. It's true. The guy who wrote The Dark Knight Returns, a great story about an aging Batman, and Sin City has created a show aimed for kids. And it rocks. It has strong stories, likable archetype style characters. Rusty is based on Astro Boy. Big Guy looks like a robot from an early 60s cartoons, and it has a fun atmosphere. It's not just for kids. I watch it every week and enjoy the action-packed adventures with tongue-in-cheek dialogue from Big Guy. Its theme song seems kind of cheesy at first, but it grew on me with the patriotic overtones. And I'm not even American. If Fox Kids shows more cartoons like this, I'll never get out on Saturday mornings. I don't know what you're gonna get out on, buddy, but you just
I think it means like never gonna leave the house.
Oh, okay.
It's very weirdly phrased. I was like, get off on Saturday? What's happening?
I don't get it. It's the final line here, it says, "Oh, and note that Jim Hanks, Tom's brother, is the voice of Big Guy's alter ego."
Thanks, Kai18.
Yeah, good job, Kai18.
So, do you agree with Kai18? Do you like this series? Do you recommend it? And if not, does it get the dip?
Yeah, I recommend this. Cool. First time getting into this, really dug it. For everything that we talked about, patriotic overtones, cheesy dialogue. I think all this stuff was really well done, and I think it put together for a really interesting show.
Yeah, for me, I'll recommend it as well, and I would like to go back and watch more of these because I think just the time it came out, I remember there was a lot of fanfare for the premiere of the series. So I checked it out that Saturday morning, whatever it was, maybe July 12th, who knows.
Wow.
But I don't remember seeing any like future episodes. So I remember watching that Saturday mornings, but this was also like high school years, so I probably didn't have as much time for Saturday morning cartoons as I do in my 30s. But I would definitely recommend it, and I will probably go and check this out as well. So we'll put that in the win column for both of us. Anything else before we move on to contact info?
Let's get into it.
All right, buddy, what are you up to in the next couple of weeks?
Guys, as always, we're getting close to March. I do live improv comedy theater in Washington, D.C. with a group called Nox. That's Nox. You can come and check us out. We're performing weekly with witdc.org. And as always, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Sean Paul Ellis. And thank you to San Diego. I had a fantastic time. You guys are wonderful as always. Dave, what are you up to, bud?
You can find me over at collider.com, nerdist.com, and davetrumbore.com. You can also find me on Twitter at DrClawMD. Did you say where your Instagram and social was?
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure. Sean Paul Ellis. That's where he is. You can also find us Saturday Morning Cartoons at our Patreon page, where you can read up on some possible tips to give us and some swag for you to get in return each and every month. Patreon.com/Saturday Morning Cartoons. You can also find us on our website, SaturdayMorningCartoons.com. Remember, that's morning with a U. You can find us on Twitter at MorningTunes. Check out Sean's handiwork on our Instagram page. Keep the conversation going on Facebook. And you can listen to our audio podcast for free each and every week through YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play. If, like the listeners did for February Listener Appreciation Month, you would like to suggest a cartoon for an upcoming episode, send us an email, SaturdayMorningCartoons@gmail.com. The last week of February is coming up, and we are going to close out Listener Appreciation Month with an old spy series, but we're not going to tell you which one it is.
Can we hint?
I think I just did.
Can we hint, though?
You got it. I gave one hint, you get one hint. It's just about spies and fart noises.
Yeah. Oh.
You can figure it out, then you're welcome to join us next week. But until then, thank you for listening. This has been Saturday Morning Cartoons, and we will see you next time.
Hey, everybody. Thanks a lot for listening to Saturday Morning Cartoons. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to transform and roll out.